Cairo, 1917. The air's thick with desert dust, and the tension of a world at war. But step inside this incredible villa in maybe the most exclusive district. You never know it. It's all quiet luxury. A huge place, sprawling corridors, high ceilings, private balconies, like a perfect sanctuary for secrets. But that sanctuary, it was absolutely shattered. A wealthy French national, the owner, found murdered in his bed. And just like that, it wasn't just a local tragedy anymore. It blew up into this huge international crisis.
Oh, immediately. The stakes were just enormous. Because the victim was French, the authorities invoked the mixed court system, which basically, for you listening, it gave foreigners these immense legal privileges. So this crime, it bypassed the standard Egyptian courts, treated like an international incident.
So they didn't just ask Egypt to solve it, they demanded it.
Pretty much commanded it, yeah. The French government basically said, solve this or face consequences. International action.
Wow. So not just a murder, but a political time bomb. And they needed answers, like yesterday.
Exactly. So you had two investigative teams rushing to this chaotic scene. The official French physician, representing the consular court, and then for Egypt, they sent their top guy, Dr. Sidney Smith, the legendary forensic pathologist. The pressure was unbelievable.
Okay, right. Let's really get into this then. This deep dive is all about that forensic battle, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Dr. Smith trying to cut through all that noise and find the actual truth inside this gilded cage. So let's start inside the villa. The victim's room was way down at the end of this long, really opulent corridor. And the first look, pure violence, but weirdly contained just around the bed.
Yeah, the victim had multiple really severe blows to the head. But the detail that stood out, the mosquito netting over the bed, it was heavily cut, torn up. It sort of suggested the attack was incredibly fast, or maybe the victim was just completely unaware, almost certainly killed while asleep, seems like.
But here's the strange part. The room itself was a total paradox. I mean, despite this brutal attack, nothing else was disturbed. No tables flipped, nothing broken, no sign of a struggle at all. The door wasn't forced. And he was found in, day clothes, a shirt, socks. But his pajamas, neatly folded on the bed. His pockets, though, completely empty.
Right. It's a contradiction, a really violent killing, but done so efficiently, calmly, and clearly by someone who knew how to get in, where to strike, without making a mess. And then beside the bed, there's this small table, remains of a meal, maybe lunch. The plates even had the stamp from Shipper's Hotel, the really fancy place. He was obviously relaxed right before it happened.
Okay, so that room is full of contradictions. But the room right across the hall, that offered a whole different story, a very illicit one.
It really did. Investigators walk in there, and it's set up for two people. More luxury food, also from Shepard's, 2 glasses with spirits in them, a half-empty bottle, and an ashtray with 3 cigarette butts, smoked right down. The implication was just crystal clear. A secret meeting happened here very recently. People relaxed, enjoying themselves. They even found, intimate sleepwear. Men's and women's.
Wow. Okay, so police figure out who was in that room.
Oh, yeah, pretty quickly. A man and a woman, both from really prominent Cairo families, and both married to other people. They were having a secret affair right there in the house where this murder just occurred.
Oh, man. So the political pressure just ratchets up again.
Instantly, you've got these 2 powerful people, clearly with something to hide. Police start watching them, of course, but they're terrified of questioning them directly. Imagine the scandal. They needed absolute proof linking them to the time of the murder before they could even think about making a move.
Right. So the initial theory, the working theory, it must have focused on them, on this affair.
Well, yeah. Especially because they found out the meal in that room, the second room, was ordered for 9:30 p.m. the night before. And the body, just looking at it superficially, it kind of looked maybe a day old.
So the police are thinking, okay, maybe the murder happened around 9 p.m., somehow connected to this late-night visit.
And this is where Dr. Smith just completely changes the game. His forensic work, the autopsy report, it just blows that whole 9 p.m. police theory right out of the water, based purely on hard biological facts.
Okay, so what did he find? What specifically went against that initial guess?
Smith looked beyond just, how the body looked on the surface. He noted the advanced rigor mortis, sure. But the key thing, the real scientific clock, was the state of decomposition. He found these specific biological changes, early parasitic fibers starting to form just above the appendix area. And Smith knew from all his work that this specific stage, it begins almost exactly 24 hours after death. It was like a precise timer.
Wait, so the science was telling him definitively this did not happen last night at 9 p.m.?
Absolutely not. And then he checked the stomach contents. The victim had undigested food in his stomach, the same type of food found on that bedside table. And based on how digested it was or wasn't, Smith calculated he died about 1 hour after eating that meal.
Okay, so if lunch is typically around noon,
Yeah.
Smith is saying the time of death was between 12 p.m. and 1 p.m., middle of the day, early afternoon.
Exactly. Killed during his usual post-lunch nap, his siesta.
That completely flips the script on the whole illicit couple theory.
Oh, it caused huge friction. The French doctor, who was also on the scene, he agreed with Smith's anatomical findings, the wounds and all that, but he just refused to accept the 1 p.m. time of death. He wanted to stick with an eyewitness who claimed they saw the victim walking afternoon.
But the science seems so much clearer than a potentially mistaken witness. That must have been risky for Smith, though, going against the French doctor, the initial police theory,
Yeah.
based purely on, digestion and decay.
Well, yeah, but the wounds backed it up, too. Remember, 7 parallel bruises, all on the head, no other injuries. It wasn't a fight. It was a precise, immediate attack, calculated, against someone sleeping. That fits perfectly with the midday nap routine, right? Not some late-night argument or confrontation. Smith basically insisted the body's biological clock, the digestion, the decay that trumps someone's memory, which could be wrong or biased.
So the police had this choice: follow the circumstantial evidence pointing towards the high-profile couple, or trust Dr. Smith's cold, hard science.
And they went with Smith. They trusted the science.
Okay, so once they accept that 1 p.m. timeline, the whole investigation shifts, doesn't it?
Completely. The killer wasn't some random burglar, probably not part of some complex blackmail plot either. The killer knew the victim, knew the house inside out, and, crucially, knew that predictable daily routine, that afternoon nap.
And then the investigation uncovers the victim's actual business.
Right. It turns out this luxurious villa wasn't just his home. He was running it as a sort of high-end, very discreet hub for paid sexual encounters, basically renting out rooms for these secret meetings.
So lots of wealthy people coming and going.
Yeah, which is why the French doctor still wanted to chase down every single wealthy client, looking for some high society killer, maybe revenge or something. But Smith argued, look, this feels simpler. This feels like theft was the immediate motive, the empty pockets, right? He said focus on who lived there, who knew that 1 p.m. nap was sacred, who had easy access.
So not the clients, but someone inside.
Exactly. The police listened to Smith again, and they turned their attention squarely onto the person who was basically living with the victim, managing the whole operation, the bookings, everything. The victim's personal servant or aide.
And when they bring him in?
The resolution was incredibly fast.
Hmm.
And chilling. He confessed almost immediately.
He did try to spin it at first, didn't he? Claiming it was about arguments over money, like shared revenue from the bookings he managed.
Yeah, he tried that. But the full story that came out was much darker, much more calculated. Turns out the servant was furious because he felt cheated out of his cut for managing all these illicit appointments, setting up the rooms, handling the clients. So he waited. Waited for the victim to finish his lunch that day, made sure he was asleep, he knew the routine perfectly, and the weapon. Just a heavy metal poker from the fireplace. Simple, effective.
And the most disturbing part, the detachment afterwards.
It's truly astounding. He commits the murder around 1 p.m., locks the door, steals the money from the pockets and also from some cabinet box.
And then just carries on.
Carries on with his duties. Just 3 hours later, that prominent couple, they arrive for their secret meeting, and the killer calmly shows them into the room directly across the hall from the body, serves them dinner, drinks, acts completely normally, while his victim is lying dead just feet away.
Unbelievable.
And here's the final incredible confirmation. Under detailed questioning, the servant states exactly when he did it. He says he committed the murder precisely at noon.
Exactly, matching Dr. Smith's timeline.
Exactly. It completely validated Smith's reliance on the forensic evidence, the scientific analysis of digestion and decay, over everything else, the eyewitness, the initial theories, the political pressure.
So in Cairo, 1917, with all this intense international pressure, it wasn't police work in the usual sense or powerful witnesses that cracked this case. It was the careful, methodical, almost stubborn application of forensic science by Dr. Sidney Smith. He just cut right through all the noise.
Yeah, and this case really set a precedent, didn't it? It showed how vital it is to establish truth through objective signs, the body's own biological clock, especially when circumstantial evidence or powerful people might point you in the wrong direction. Science ultimately solved this crime, not status or assumption.
You know, the killer's most effective weapon wasn't really the iron poker, was it? It was the victim's own predictability. He used that quiet post-lunch ritual against him. It really makes you think, if the most private, regular parts of our day are known to others, how much of our own routine could potentially be turned against us?